Welcome to My Favorite CX, a podcast that celebrates exceptional customer experiences. To listen to today's, please choose from one of the following options.
Welcome to My Favorite Customer Experience. I'm Chris Holt from Holt CX Consultancy, and I'm joined today by Olly Hobson from CloudAX. Oliver, welcome to My Favorite Customer Experience.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Chris. First webinar, so looking forward to it.
So, Olly, you're an entrepreneur who recently launched CloudAX, an AI-based call system with the aim to eradicate the need for placing people on hold and to redefine customer service. That's quite the ambition. Why don't you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, so Leo and I, he's my best friend and co-founder. We started this business 3 years ago. So we were developing websites and apps, trying to do anything we could to improve our skill sets. And we really mainly enjoyed automating kind of these processes that businesses didn't enjoy doing. So obviously when AI came out, we learned everything we could about it. And then 7 months ago, through the NatWest Accelerator program, someone reached out to me and asked if it was possible to kind of automate some of his customer inquiries. And so from there, we tried to white label a solution, found loads of problems with it, and so started coding away. And now, 7 months later, we've launched the product. So it's our goal, as you said before, never to make sure a customer never stays on hold again.
Pretty cool to go from an inception to playing with other people's platforms to then, do you know what, we'll figure it out ourselves within 7 months.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say who it was, but the stimulating factor was that Leo reached out to the sales team and said, we're trying to integrate with this CRM system and this telephone system. And they didn't even say like, come back in a week. They just said, we're too busy. We don't have time. And so it was at that point we just turned around and went, well, we can't rely on this as a long-term solution. And so made our own. And now I guess it gives us complete flexibility in terms of where we can take it. So it's definitely the right decision.
So I guess maybe we're talking here about something that's quite exciting within customer experience of now with some of the technology that's available, you can literally create something.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite funny that basically the skills that we learn, I guess, maybe 10 years ago are now able to be applied in, it's the same programming languages, but now because the new tech has come out, we're able to kind of almost piggyback off the back of years of research. And so I guess we just got lucky in terms of the timing of the technology because it is developing so fast. And it's a great thing and it's a bad thing because every 2 weeks you're having to rebuild the product because some new technologies come out and there's a better way to do it. But at the same, so it's kind of hard in that respect, but at the same time, with AI, your product kind of only gets better over time and only gets cheaper and more efficient over time. So it's kind of you've got a good tailwind behind you, I guess.
I think that's something that not everyone realizes that AI has been around now for decades. It's just the computing power was never there to really drive the data and drive the capability.
Yeah, I mean, it's all come off these huge data sets. I think in particular, obviously the internet has just provided so much data and with the vision now as well, stuff like the models are able to process, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a huge data set of millions and millions of images. And so using all of that data that's been collected over since the internet began has now just rapidly accelerated the intelligence of these systems alongside, as you say, the computing power, which is becoming insane. Yeah, and I mean, we've seen rapid innovation, but with quantum computing, although it's not quite there yet, that'll kind of be the next step up, I guess, because it'll increase the computation power even further. And so when you have quantum AI models, I genuinely could not imagine what the world's going to look like.
I think it's an interesting prospect, isn't it? Because it's moving at such a rapid rate that there is almost a fear with AI that it's here to take jobs and seen as a great replacement. But we've seen over generations and over various industrial revolutions, that what happens is the nature of work changes. Your approach is to keep the human involved.
Yeah, so we've really focused on the human in the loop approach. We thought that was the best possible way to deliver the best customer experience. And so it's kind of the 80/20 rule that, you expect the AI to be able to automate the routine inquiries. For example, for, I don't know, retail brands, it'll do all of your refunds, returns and stuff. And then it allows your call center to focus on the 20% of the most valuable or vulnerable customers. And so it allows the customers who need it to get the most help, and then it kind of declogs the phone lines for the people who do just want quick answers to their questions.
Makes sense, doesn't it, to make our most capable humans more available?
Yeah, exactly. And then it lets them focus on the more valuable side of things. And so that's why we spent so long building CloudAX Connect Suite. So that's the platform we've built where the human agents can see all the calls coming in real time. And then if they do, we built in human handoff with the logic with the caller. So if you say, I need to be handed off to a human, then you can be passed over. They can just say, okay, wait 1 minute, read the summary of the call of what's been said and get themselves up to speed with the customer interaction. So kind of seamless handoff between the AI and the human.
And I think that then touched on an interesting point, actually, that a previous guest, Andy Morehouse, kind of talked about of just because a customer wants an agent doesn't necessarily mean we're going to give them an agent if we know that the journey they're going down is still one that we can transact within one of our AI agents, for example.
Yeah, so for example, with ours, if you get on and just say, I want a human, it'll first say, okay, yeah, I'll pass you on to a human. But before I do that, can you tell me a bit about it so the human can better help you? And it will try and resolve their question. Obviously, if someone is just like, abusing the AI saying 10 times I want a human, it'll pass you off. But the whole point is to deflect some of that demand from the call center to free up their resources for the most important customers. And so it does obviously try and resolve their question. Because I think, people don't necessarily want a conversation. They kind of just want their query to be resolved. And so if it is just a simple kind of, where's my order or something along those lines, then they can just get their answer to their questions instantly.
Absolutely. And I think maybe that brings us to our last question before we go to a slight break, which is where do you think, given what you're working on at the moment, where do you think there's the biggest opportunity to create an exceptional customer experience?
I mean, I do think it is by integrating AI with human teams, not necessarily one or the other. So using the AI to do the heavy lifting almost and letting the human agents to kind of look at the most important customers. But I think with AI alone, there is a lot you can do as well, training it with, like, for example, with ours, we're creating knowledge bases trained on kind of empathy and emotional intelligence so that it has the logic, that human would in terms of how to kind of handle a vulnerable customer or look out for these key signs, and then it can hand off to a human. Because I think everyone's kind of built on the same baseline technology. So whether you're using like OpenAI or Gemini, whatever model it is, obviously none of these vendors necessarily have the resources to build better models than these leading AI labs. And so it's kind of what can you build on top of that baseline technology to enhance it and take it to the next level.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? If that's already been built, then why build further unless you really need private data?
Yeah, I mean, it's so expensive. And even if you did invest, years and hundreds of millions, you might not necessarily be able to even compete because these labs have spent billions and, up to, I think OpenAI is coming on 10 years now. And so it is extremely hard to compete. And so it's finding, I guess, ways where you can use it securely and in the best possible way for the best customer experience.
And coming back to customer experience, we're going to take a short pause there. Ironically, we're going to place our listeners and viewers on hold now because there is one hold service. We won't be going anywhere anytime soon, and that's Holty. So we'll place our listeners on hold and we'll come back in about 30 seconds or so.
I'm Holty, your AI-powered favorite experience agent. I can see you've contacted us previously, so I'm loading up your favorite Holt music now, whilst we connect you to the team.
Welcome back to my favorite customer experience. I'm joined today by Olly Hobson of CloudAX. And Olly, we're going to ask you what we ask every guest, which is, can you tell us more about a favorite customer experience?
Yeah, so I was having a think about this, and I think it's definitely at our launch party, the magician. We had Jason Ria. Gary very kindly brought him in, and it was at the end of the night. So I had been very busy and flustered the whole time, having to let everyone in and organize the event. And he just comes over to me and says, "You haven't had a trick, so here you go, sign this card." Signed a card, and then I have no idea how this happened, but a minute later, after he'd done some other tricks, he pulled out a bottle with my signed card in, a soda, a tonic Schweppes one, with the cap on. And so it just kind of made my night. I always love keeping memorabilia from big events. And so it was cool to that one's in the bedroom now, as a very memorable customer experience, as well as a big experience for us in terms of our first event and launching the product.
And there's a few things I want to touch upon there because obviously launch night is quite stressful. I know you guys have been planning it for a little while. You've got to make sure everyone's there. You've got all kinds of things going on that night. Probably the least thing you were looking after was your own needs. And it sounds like your magician came and sought you out and wanted to kind of spend a bit of time with you and make you feel special.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it wasn't really, what I was focusing on the evening, but actually it really added to it. My brother just pulled me aside for a conversation I was having and just saying, right, you've had a stressful evening, just like come and enjoy this. And so he did a special trick just for me, and it was a small thing, but it's always the small things that can leave, I guess, a lasting memory.
And I can see this for those listening. Ollie and I are chatting on video as well, and I can see it's making you smile. So this feels like an easy question to ask, but how did it make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, first of all, I was just like, how on earth has he managed to do this? But yeah, it's really cool. Just made me feel great having, a really cool souvenir, a signed card inside a bottle, and left for definitely a lasting memory of both his service and the night, I guess.
And I guess there you mentioned something about a memorable experience and also remembering him as a service. In terms of influencing behaviors, does this mean that future events we're going to see your magician coming back, or you're going to be recommending him, or what does that mean for you now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the future, I'd love to have him back. He just made everyone kind of smiled. Everyone said it was a highlight of the night. And at first, I was almost like a bit confused, as in, we got these speakers. What does the magician have to do with it? But at the end of the day, it really made the evening. It was incredible, and it was just, yeah, a small thing like that definitely will change your perception on someone completely. And so I think, obviously, this isn't a typical necessarily customer experience like you and I would deal with in call centers. But I think it shows to businesses, it's just small touches that you can add will really have like a lasting impact.
I mean, look, if we want to use one of our industry terms, we could call it hyper personalization or something awful like that, couldn't we? But ultimately, it meant that you and your guests all got a personalized experience, got something that gave them a bit of joy, made the evening even more memorable because, we can go to these events and listen to a lot of talk, listen to a lot of presentations. Sometimes it's these things that intermingled with that messaging also make a difference.
Yeah, it's the emotional experience because then, no, a talk you will remember if it's a very good talk. Likewise with a conversation, but it's the emotions that you really remember as kind of key moments. And so, yeah, I would say it's definitely made the evening.
Well, I look forward to experiencing some magic at a future CloudAX event then.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Ollie, obviously recently launched. Where can people find out more information about CloudAX and yourself?
Yeah, so Our website's cloudax.uk. If anyone wants to check that out. And then I'm big on LinkedIn, so just search Oliver Hobson, and we're always putting out new videos and new posts. So follow me on there, I guess.
Brilliant. Well, Ollie, thank you very much for joining me on my favorite customer experience. We'll see you all in a couple of weeks' time.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Chris.
Thank you for listening to My Favorite CX. Your listenership is important to us. On your keypad, please press a number between 1 and 5 to rank how much you've enjoyed your experience.